Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Retrograde number 3 from 1988. It's a comic book from Eternity Comics. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color, 12-page story comic book that I produce every month, and you can get that at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, or you can hit me up at alexturbin0441 at yahoo.com, which is my email. But if you do that route, if you go that route, contact me somewhere else and tell me first, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, or you can just message me at alexturbin0441 at Instagram. So, Retrograde, let's get into this and move all of these Death Knight lances that I'm making. Retrograde, I did not get this when I was younger. I wish I had. I got this a few months ago as part of the evolving reviews and deep dives that I'm doing. And everybody knows that I love Eternity Comics and Aircell and that whole group. Actually, one of you guys sent me a flyer slash no, it's not a flyer, it's a I don't know what you call it. It's like something that they sent out through Diamond. I don't know if they sent it out through Diamond, but anyway, it was a way to show off the Eternity Aircell Adventure Malibu books. And I'm going to go through that. I think I'm going to go through that at some point, maybe next time, because I'm really interested in it. Anyway, Retrograde, number 3. So I didn't read the first two, and I really wish I had. The writer is Greg Kendrick. The artist is Frank Turner, and the inker is Gern Blanston, who did pages 12 through 24. The letterer is Debbie Klein, and the cover coloring is Matt Webb. So I don't know if that's the same Matt Webb. It's not. I don't think it's the same. I had Greg. I had a teacher who was Greg Webb. That's not him. Anyway, we're going to go through the book like always. That's the whole thing of this channel, is that we go through the whole book, and then we go through the writing, and then we go through the art, and then we all sum it up all at the end. So strap in. We've got a retrograde ride to go on. So it starts off where it has these zombie-like figures, and there's like a emperor type character, and apparently they're like super soldiers, and the emperor is like a super soldier. And they kind of explain what happened in the previous 2 issues. I think this is what happened, and they kind of recap it in this whole thing, where there's this guy called Aaron, and he's like the leader of the super group that are kind of the leadership of the whole planet or the whole sector or whatever. And because they're super soldiers, they have super strength and super power and all that stuff. And Aaron has the most super of all of them, and he's a good guy, he's a good leader and all of that stuff. And these guys, I think in the last 2 issues, wrestled control of the power from Aaron and all of his I want to say cronies, but they're not cronies, allies, all of his allies. And I think they escaped. So these two are just kind of talking about how these are dead bodies of the superheroes or super soldiers that Aaron has kind of concocted or transfused or whatever, and they're part human, part whatever alien race this is. They have some sort of computer technology in their brains, so they're going to be like cyborg warriors, and they're just kind of, these 2 bad guys are just kind of talking about what happened to Aaron and where they are and stuff, and how they took control. Then it zips to a new scene, and there's a dragon. Don't know what he's part of in the previous 2 issues. I kind of wish that they had a little bit of a backstory blog up here That's what I always say. So really, I think I've talked about that a whole lot. And as a creator, I don't do that enough. I don't say, like in the beginning of Random Access, I have a what happened before. And I think in all of my comic books, if it's not a number one, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a what came before, because reading all these comics where I'm reading a number 3 or reading a number 5 or whatever, I don't know what happened before. And especially, it's not a Marvel comic. You're not reading Batman, so you don't know who the characters are. You don't know what's going on. So if you don't know what's going on, then you can get really lost, and then it makes the reading really unpleasant if you're confused and lost, and unless you can really hop on board with what previously happened, which is kind of what this page did. And but then I don't know what's happening with the dragon. Apparently it's Aaron and his friends, and they're going to fight this dragon. Actually, they came upon this girl who was going to be eaten by this dragon, and they were going to stop him. So that's how the last issue ended. I'm pretty sure that's what I've gleaned through all of this. There's a Dark Lord, him. He says that he's going to destroy Earth because there is an Earth. I don't know what they have to do with all of these guys. This is Aaron, and these are his friends, and they're trying to protect and rescue the little girl who is going to be eaten by the dragon. Shrimmel is these are little people. They're kind of like hobbits. They doesn't really say that anywhere, but later on it kind of shows the size differences between the regular humans and the Shrimmel. So the dragon is like a he comes and he devours one a season. So 4 girls a month, 4 of the Shrimmel a month, and they have like this bargain with the dragon that he won't destroy them all if he's given 1 every season. The super people don't know this. They don't know that this pact is here. They just want to save the little girl from the dragon. There's a lot of blustering between the dragon and the superheroes, which I guess I think that Retrograde is the name of the superhero group. It doesn't really say that, but I guess I've just kind of gleaned it. So they're putting on a pretty good fight. They're punching the dragon. They're shooting it with guns. They're doing all this stuff. But it isn't until the dragon grabs them and he's gonna like eat them and kill them and stuff. And they just kind of are trying to help each other fight off this evil creature. And one of them, John Warner, the dragon stops and says something about how John Warner has deceived the rest of the group, and they kind of Aaron stops. He's like, "What is going on? We need an explanation." So right during this battle, Aaron is stopping, and because they're like best friends, and he's like, tell me what's going on. I need to know. This is crazy. And because Aaron is super powerful, super strong, and the dragon is like, you tell him what's going on. But they eventually decide to let it rest for the moment because they want to deal with the dragon and the little girl and save the little girl. So Aaron this is kind of an odd panel. I didn't like it at first, but once you look at it, he's actually looking back at John Warner and kind of talking about him and throwing his sword back at the dragon's mouth, and that kind of just ends the dragon. Where then they just kind of do a whole bunch of superhero stuff where they attack the dragon with some kind of explosions and stuff, and they eventually kill the dragon, even though the dragon has one of them. Oh no. So they haven't killed the dragon. The dragon has one of them in his hand, and he's going to crush his life. But Aaron being the most powerful of all of them, creates a big explosion. I don't know how he does that. He's got this cool sword, but I don't know what he does to create this big explosion. Maybe it's not an explosion. Maybe he punctures the dragon's body and it blows up because it's full of some kind of combustible material, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, Aaron lays waste to the dragon, and that's the end of it. And then he goes after John Warner, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And then there's this mysterious lady and mysterious sorcerer who uses some kind of psychic communication with one of the characters. I don't know all of the characters. The characters look pretty cool. I think his name is like Corporal or something like that. I think he's supposed to be like the Captain America of the group. It's very, it feels like very, like there's a giant. It feels like very standard superhero stuff where one of them's like a Captain America, one of them's an Iron Man, one of them's a, like has flame stuff or some, she can fly. So I don't know what their powers are, and I don't know what their backstories are, but they're pretty cool to look at, and it makes me want to learn a little bit more about these characters and stuff. So they are trying to get him to stop the conversation because they don't want Aaron to figure out whatever secret is that John Warner has, because he can't tell anybody. And so psychically they talk to him, and so whoever it is, I can't remember his name, some kind of super soldier, tells Aaron that maybe we should drop it for now and figure out what's happening later on. So they leave. They go with the little girl to her village, and you see like a portal opening, some sort of teleportation or something, and it's the Dark Lord, and his pet is the dragon. And every time the dragon dies, the Dark Lord reincarnates him. He resurrects him, a little bit like Games of Thrones. So he resurrects the dragon, and then I'm back at Earth at Project Phalanx. So I don't know what Project Phalanx is. It's some sort of cyborg. This woman has like this relationship with a cyborg where they're friends or something. I don't know. This one page. Cutting to this one page, it doesn't really say anything about what's going on. It must have been in the previous two issues. If anybody has read Retrograde, please let me know what's going on as far as that. I am going to look and try to find some more issues. I don't know how many issues this ran through, and it's only a couple bucks on eBay or whatever. So I think I might try to find some 1 and 2 and see how many issues there actually were. So they go to the Shmi. Cherie is the girl. There's Shrimmel, something like that. Shimri. Let's see. I can't figure this out. That their names are. Shrimmel, the Shrimmel woman. Okay, Shrimmel is the name of the species. They're like hobbits, and they come back into the village, and they think they're going to be greeted as heroes because they've saved the girl. But all of the Shrimmel are aghast and just not happy with what's going on. And the father, who is the leader, obviously, of the girl, is very happy to see the girl alive, but he's also very upset because the dragon hasn't gotten his due, and the citizens are very upset, and they're angry at the superheroes. And finally, they take off because they're not going to hurt the superheroes or whatever. And the leader decides to have like a dinner in their honor. So he says, come back later on and we'll discuss everything. So it's later. Here's the little indication that's later. And the giant can't go in because he's too big for their little hut or whatever. And they have a little dialogue about that. But then they go and they're inside and they're talking about what is going on with the dragon. And that's where the leader tells them that every season, like every winter, spring, summer, fall, the dragon is given a sacrifice, and it's the eldest girl of all of of one of the families, and they have like a rotating system, and it was his turn to have his eldest girl come, and then intrudes the son because Aaron says, "Why don't you guys just rise up together and defeat this dragon once and for all? You can all kill him." They don't realize that that the dragon is resurrected every time he dies by the Dark Master. They don't realize that yet. So every time they do that, because they say that back when they were their ancestors did do that. In fact, they attacked the dragon, they killed the dragon, and every time they killed the dragon, he would come back. And so that's when they came up with the system of the sacrificial system. The youngest, or the son of the villager, the village leader rather, he is of the opinion that they should kill the dragon. So he goes along with Aaron and the superheroes, and he's like saying he was actually banished because of this, because of his heretical views of killing the dragon instead of giving one of their daughters every season change. So they just have this huge dialogue about how he was banished and what's going on. They also have a little bit of fun banter where one of the superheroes gets a hat from the Shrimmel, and they're kind of having a good time. And they talk about the lady and the sorcerer who Captain whatever his name is, the super soldier is like, that's who I saw. I don't understand what's going on. And so they have this little dialogue about how he thinks that the leader should be sent with no, I guess they haven't gotten there yet. Yes, okay, yes they did. The leader says that his son knows the terrain, he knows the world, and that they're going to seek, I can't remember what they're going to seek, but they're going to find something, and the son would be a great benefit to them. And at first they don't want to do it, but then Aaron says yes, it would be best to go along that path and do whatever they can. So they decide to do that, and Aaron and John have this little kind of a friendship thing where Aaron trusts John, and he's going to let it go for now. And that's when John says to himself, the Dark Lord says that if I say anything to Aaron or the rest of the group, that the Dark Lord will go and destroy Earth, and he believes that he can. So the Shrimmel and the Giants are talking about some of the things that happen in their village and in their culture. They have this like glass pyramid where each one of the daughters has their some of what they have their oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm having a blank. They have some of their belongings. They have some of their belongings encased in glass, and they put it into a giant pyramid. So that's how the villagers honor the sacrifice of the young girls who are being sent to their doom and killed by the dragon. So then there's, like they said, they're still talking about it, and whether or not they should do this kind of thing or whatever. And then the dragon swoops by, he swoops in, and comes along, and they're surprised that he's back, but they're ready to kill him again. And he keeps saying that that I'm going to come back. You got whatever you do, you can't stop me. So they have this little battle, and eventually the head villager, says that he's right. The dragon is going to come back no matter how many times we kill him, and he's going to lay waste to our village. So we just have to keep on with this one girl a season deal that we have going on. And even though the dragon is going to severely punish them, maybe kill a whole bunch of them, he's not going to kill all of them. So they will retain their pact. And so the superheroes begrudgingly leave the village to the dragon, and they're just kind of defeated. So even though they killed the dragon, they really have no choice but to let this whole thing of the sacrificing of the girls stand, because otherwise the village is going to be destroyed and everyone will be dead. So it's the greater of two evils, or the lesser of two evils. And it's really fascinating how they introduced that and put that into the storyline. I don't think they furthered the whole story arc of what's going on with Aaron and his empire and all that stuff. But I figure they thought they had plenty of time to go over that story and figure out what was going on with that. And they just kind of leave and go off. And then they're like, oh, that we have a long road ahead of us. So they leave the village, and the next episode is called Precipice. And then that's how it ends. So there's a couple of advertisements for other Eternity comics, which are pretty cool. I really want to get some of these, especially I don't have any Dark Wolves or the Fist of God, which I really want to get and review on the channel. So there we go. As for the writing was really good. I really enjoyed it. I did not know what I was gonna get in this, and I really I'm kind of used to reading these black and white power comics where they're just kind of almost unreadable. This is not a power comic. This is definitely too accomplished to be a power comic in the writing and the art. But it's good writing. It's good writing. I do wish, like I said, they could have used all this white space as a blurb for what happened previously to really catch us up to what's going on and who the characters are and stuff like that. And maybe even if they had a page or if they, instead of this dragon, they had a picture of all the heroes and their names under them and all of their powers. I know I've said that that's kind of cheesy before, but it's for a superhero thing. I think it's kind of cool and kind of appropriate because you never know when this comic is somebody's first comic, which is what Jim Shooter used to say all of the time, I guess, and that's how the Marvel way of doing it was. So the writing is really good. All of the characters are very succinct. They all have their own voices. They have their own storylines, and they really interact really nicely. That's one of the things that's very difficult in writing is having. It's almost like an action sequence where you have the build up, the blow, and then the resolution, or something like that. All of their dialogue comes together, and they really have it flows very nicely. And the plot wise, I do get lost a lot, or I did get lost a lot, only because of like this page here. Didn't really understand that, but other than that. Simply because I didn't know who the characters were, I got a little bit lost. But other than that, some of these characters were introduced, like the villages and stuff. It flowed really nicely and really well, and I really kept up. Having this young dwarven guy or whatever being introduced as their guide was a nice way to continue the story. And even though I didn't know a lot of what was going on, it was fun and enjoyable to read. And if it's fun and enjoyable to read, then even if you do get a little bit lost and you do have to either backtrack or whatever, then it's more enjoyable, and you'll be more prepared to do that and more happy to do that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the whole script. It was really really good. As for the art, it's a mixed bag. It is really a mixed bag because there is a lot of, there's not a whole lot of close-ups, which you really need a lot of close-ups. I do like the way the panels are put together. The narrative art, I never really got lost art-wise or narrative-wise. I always kind of knew exactly what was going on. The pages that are inked by, I assume, by Frank Turner and this guy Gurn, you can tell it's not a huge difference, but it's kind of a little bit of a difference where the backgrounds, even though Frank didn't put a lot of backgrounds in his because there really isn't a lot to be there that is needed. It's like a out in the wilderness or out in the opens, a plain. So what are you going to do? You're going to do more clouds or something like that. But I do kind of wish that the panels were a little bit more compact. I think that if you have open spaces like that and you don't have a lot of background, then it's possibly better to have a lot more close-ups because you're having all of that space wasted unless you're doing something like the final panel doesn't have a lot of backgrounds. It's got all of this open space, but that's kind of what they wanted and what they were going for because they're showing that it's going on for a long time and all of this wasted space, but it's not really wasted space, it's negative space, and it's really used in a way that complements what they're trying to do, the emotion that they're trying to convey in the book. And that's really what it's all about when you're trying to the use of negative and positive space is trying to convey the emotions or the the story or whatever that's going on. Like this talking heads, these whole scenarios here could have been, there's a lot of dialogue here. So fitting in a really close up is really difficult, but you could have gone with a giant eye or a giant face or something like that, which would have broken up the talking heads just a little bit. But I like the amount of panels and stuff. I do kind of wish that some of the panels had a little bit more pizzazz to them, where the dragon here, I kind of wish that was maybe this whole panel. And this dragon, I'm not entirely sold on whether or not I like the dragon. Like, that's a pretty cool beginning pose. That's a pretty good beginning thing. But his belly is just a little bit, he's like a fat dragon. So he's not really intimidating or scary at all. And then he looks like this. He doesn't look intimidating or scary even a little bit. So he's breathing fire and stuff. And I kind of wish that they had put a little bit more effort into that. I think the inker, I think what happened, this is only a guess, so I don't know obviously for sure, but I think Frank maybe couldn't finish the book on time, or he had other projects going on or something, so they had to have this inker, this Gurn, come in, and he just kind of does the bare minimum. It's really like so many of the lines don't connect, and sometimes that's good, but in this case, it looks more like it's an unfinished project. And a lot of people say that about my work, where it looks unfinished. So, like, look at all this negative space and unused space. And they could have done a little bit different for the backgrounds. And all of these lines that aren't touching here, it gives it an unfinished look, which really is kind of detrimental to the book. So the art is a mixed bag. There's a lot of stuff that I really like. I love Aaron's faces, and I love just the interaction between the dragon and the people. And here's a nice action shot. Him grabbing the dragon is really cool. So there's a lot to like about it, and there's only a few things that I'm kind of nitpicking. But I really think the secondary inker, he did good for the first few pages, and then just kind of petered off. Like, I think the last few pages are, I think they either got fatigue or they were rushed or something, and they just had to get it done. And so that's really kind of a shame. I'm wondering if this is the last issue. Anyway, so that's what I have to say. It's a mixed bag. I do like it. I don't like it. There's a lot that I'm conflicted about. So Retrograde number 3, what am I going to give it? I do like the writing. I do like the characters. I did like the plot from what I could glean from it. I would definitely get this if I see this in the dollar bin. If I see 1 or 2 or over that, I'm going to definitely get them. So that automatically gives it this indie comic a 7, because that's a huge hurdle. In my Grendel review, I actually read out the intro for that book, and it's the publisher actually talking about what it takes to get people to invest their money week after month to come back to a book over and over again and have it part of their life. There's a lot of things going on there, and so I think that automatically, if they get me there, even if it's just for the dollar, if I'm not going to go spend $15 or $20 on it, but if I see it at the dollar store, I'm going to grab them. So that's automatically a tier there. I did enjoy the writing. The art left me a little flat. I did say that there was a lot I liked about it, but I feel like I don't feel like Frank Turner put his whole being into it. I think the first few pages he kind of does. The first 4 or 5 pages, I think he really puts everything into it, and then he kind of peters off. He loses his backgrounds. Like this grass, there's no other backgrounds, so he could have added a little bit more grass and given it some structure and some life. I do like the explosion here, though. And I mean, the figures are really good, and the faces are really good, and all of the emotions are really shown through. But yeah, I still feel at least be a little flat towards the end, especially. So I'm going to give this a 7.5. I'm going to give this 7.5 based on me wanting to get more issues. And that's basically from the writing. But anyway, Retrograde number 3, getting a 7.5 for me. If you guys have read this and you enjoy it or don't enjoy it, let me know. I always like your guys' comments. And if you have just come across the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and all that cool stuff. Thumbs up. And but more importantly, I love comments. I love comments for comic book fans. It's my favorite thing. Comic books are my favorite thing, and I love sharing them with you guys. It's just really the best thing, and I love comments from you guys. So thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you next time, and keep on creating.